A very good day to you and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jedel Kabir. It's always a pleasure to have you joining us for this conversations which I hope will help our political leaders in making better policy and political moves. I'm here with Herman Manyora. How are you doing this particular day?
Very good.
Still in Nairobi?
Yeah, a little cold, but we are there.
We're talking about Nairobi County. You know, it's been disturbing what we saw with Governor Sakaja being stoned at Tui Market the other day. Yes. The conversation is as if the county is losing touch with the people on the ground. Would you agree first with that statement, that the leadership of Nairobi is not being felt by Nairobians?
I would even modify it a bit. It does appear to me there's no leadership.
Oh.
And I think Sakaja is to blame. There was a lot of expectations because he's young, he's eloquent, despite the issues that were there during his nomination. He's an intelligent man, well connected. Was chairman of the TNA, the Uhuru Party, and he dines and wines with the big boys, and then he's young and eloquent. And people thought Sakaja was going to be the best governor Nairobi has ever had. So he's a victim of that. You create hope and serious expectations, then you deliver nothing.
What could be the problem? Because Nairobi has been believed to be run by cartels. Is this the situation that happens? You look at Governor Kidero, Governor Sonko, Kananu, Mbadi, all of them came into place and then expectations were there. But then it seems like when you get into that office, it is difficult to manage it. Is this a problem of not being able to deal with cartels? And how would you compare what Sakaja is trying to do, whether he's doing something, with what Governor Kidero was trying to do when he took leadership as the first governor?
You know, I think we need to look at Nairobi before devolution. It was quite a mess for many years, you know? And off and on there were commissions during Moi's time, and then the councillors, the famous cajolas, literate fellows, and so on and so forth. Then when devolution came, despite my misgivings in terms of whether Nairobi ought to be a county like Siaya or like Nyeri, it doesn't work like that in many countries of federal arrangement or quasi-federal. Despite that, we hoped, now that we have a serious elected leadership in the name of a governor, and the MCAs were much better in our thinking and expectation than the previous governor, the cajolas. We expected a lot. Now, if you look at what Kidero came in and did, it seemed to justify that expectation. That, first of all, Nairobi can raise serious revenue. When Kidero stepped in, people were like, what? Do you mean this kind of money can be raised in Nairobi?
Because of digitization?
Yeah, because of just systems. He digitized, and immediately huge amounts of money. For your information, that record of Kidero has not been surpassed today. Revenue collection. So now, fast forward, you'll fault the people, successors who have come after Kidero. You've named them. From Kidero, then there was Sonko, then there was that lady Kananu, then there was Mbadi, NMS. It was called NMS.
Yes.
NMS Mbadi, now there is Sakaja.
Yes.
The question you must ask, how come they have not raised similar revenue to what Kidero raised? Because Nairobi is growing, it's not going down.
Yes.
Systems ought to be made better. Sonko tried, by the way. When Sonko came in, he tried to play around with the digital platforms.
Yes.
But again, the cartels also came in.
And that's why I was with cartels, because it seems
he wasn't able to dismantle Kidero's digitalization and create his. In between, some confusion arose.
Yes.
How I wish he had just maintained Kidero's platforms and digitization and checked any excesses. You know, sometimes it's not a question of excesses. It's a question of who is benefiting, who is the provider, who is the service provider. Why can't I remove this one and create? I'm not quite sure that's the case, but I'm sure there was an attempt to change. And then, so when you want to ask yourself, if somebody was able to raise 10 billion in 2013, can't we be raising 30 billion today? That's the first question. Secondly, The issues that Nairobi face must by now be very clear. And therefore, the interventions must also be very clear. I remember I interacted with Peter Kenneth,
Yes.
when he was running for governor. And I remember he had a very clear platform. He identified the problems of Nairobi and how to sort out those problems. So I'm just wondering, if Kidero came in 2013, 2017, and initially there were no structures, the laws were weak, not just Nairobi, for all the counties.
Yeah.
Haven't we created enough structure from 2013 to now so that running Nairobi should be a very seamless thing? So I think if you get me right, I'm trying to say there seems to have been stagnation from the time of Kidero. We have not moved forward. And this is not the only county. There are many counties where, despite the struggles made by the first governors to create systems, structures, and what have you, and even at the national levels, laws have been put in place since then. The local government, whatever it's called, County Government Act, and a few other legislation. The policy measures have been put in place. Council of Governors has been working on things. There are so many things that have been going on, including revenue. One would expect
By now.
the performance between the first governor of 2013, 2017,
Yes.
maybe even those who did one term, 2013 to 2022.
Yes.
By now, these guys who are this third generation governors,
Yes.
we would be expecting to see things moving. But instead, they are going backwards.
What could it be? What is the case? Is this a case of having politicians in office compared to Kidero, who is known as a CEO, as a manager?
Yes,
because you'd look at what he did at Pumwani, you'd look at what he did in terms of waste management. Some strides there.
Yes, yes.
Is this the failure that we're having in Nairobi?
But they also fear if you come like Kidero with management, administration, and organized systems, you neglect the politics. And then you suffer for that. So they have learned, let's play the politics, forget about development. And Kidero is not alone. Many first-term governors suffered because they came with management in mind. They came as good leaders. They have provided leadership elsewhere. They know how the meaning of structures and systems. They put these things in place and they worked. But then they neglected politics.
So this is why Sonko defeated him.
Yeah. Politics.
Siasa.
Not just Sonko alone, even within ODM. Kidero knew he was not wanted. In fact, in 2013, I can tell you, Raila didn't want Kidero. We could see it. Yeah, he was a default candidate. Raila was for Wanjiru, but Wanjiru had her own issues. Bishop, she had her own issues. So Kidero only came in as an alternative. And that played out now fully in 2017. Where he didn't get... They only tolerated him because they could not bring an outsider. The kind of problem UDA is going to have now. Your first-time governor is yours. He wants a second term. How easy is it to bring somebody else to run the ticket instead of the one who is seeking re-election? So ODM tolerated Kidero in 2017 because he was a governor seeking re-election. It would have looked very awkward for them to have brought in somebody. So that's what I'm saying. Even at the level of ODM itself, Kidero didn't play the politics. He was a gentleman, he can do things, he can finance programs, even the bit of ODM elections. He can bring structures and systems, his background and training. But you need also to play politics. So when Sonko came in now, Kidero should have seen that the politics coming. He should have known. Sonko the Maverick. Sonko is also from Lower Eastern.
Yeah.
And Lower Eastern people have serious also votes in Nairobi. They were going to go out. He should have seen all those games. He didn't see.
So what does Nairobi need now? Because yes, there is politics, but have Nairobians learned that maybe we should look at things differently? Because Sakaja has a very good tongue. But when you look at action, it's becoming very tricky for him. Have Nairobians seen that maybe Kidero or a manager should take over leadership?
I think by now it must be clear to people of Nairobi. These guys who talk sweet and jump on stage. And it's not just for Nairobi. I think even at the national level. People who put on uniform and dance on political rallies, their time is up. You need to look at a serious person. Because the challenges facing this country cannot be solved by magicians dancing on stage. You need serious people. So for Nairobi, they will have to look for serious leaders. People who can put structures in place. Look, if this town cannot employ 1.5 to 2 million people, this town will collapse. This country will collapse. These young people will go wild. They will go wild on us. You can't have a city of 5 million people with 2.5 or so million jobless young people.
The city
you
itself
can't. It's not safe.
Them. The city itself.
The city government, the county government of Nairobi ought to create opportunities by making Nairobi a clean city that can attract investment. By dealing with cartels who make life miserable for investors. For example, these cartels cannot allow you to supply water to people of Nairobi because they want to be the ones selling the water. They want to be the ones dealing with the garbage collection. In the process, Nairobi is a stinking city. So you need to make Nairobi clean.
You know, we saw that.
You need to give Nairobi clean water. You need to give Nairobi a serious transport system. A working transport system like in a modern city. You'll have to deal with the matatu cartels. They have to leave. You'll have to put your foot down and tell them we cannot have matatu in the city. No, we can't. And you are not getting them out of employment. I've explained many times. They should get together, form circles, and be the ones to enter into the new commuter arrangement. Light trains, commuter buses like the ones you see in Dar es Salaam.
Yes.
They should not be owned and run by necessary big capitalists, including foreigners, including children of rich people in this country. No! These matatu operators should get together. They have the strength in number and money to be the ones running the new modern. So Nairobi cannot run the way it's running. It will come to a halt. Nairobi is going to be the most violent city in Africa in the next 10 years. The most violent city. Where you cannot walk. Forget about Johannesburg. Where you cannot walk in the streets. We are going to witness horror in our streets. You cannot have millions of educated young people in a small place like Nairobi, jobless.
And that's what
hopeless.
Happened at Toy Market. A governor is getting chased away because
the leaders are being told, look here, if you continue like this, we'll even lynch you. And that's why, even if you are not electing Kidero, you need to look at Kidero as a sort of prototype. That if you are looking for a leader in Nairobi, of the people who have been leading Nairobi, Kidero seems to have the qualities of what you need in a person who can run Nairobi. So if that becomes your prototype, then say, does he fit the bill? In the modern Nairobi, can it be Kidero? If the answer is yes, you put him there. If the answer is no, you look for somebody who has similar characteristics and more of what you need. Then you combine, then you put somebody. But outright, all we can say, the current people are just jokers.
Let me wrap it up at that. Thanks for tuning into that conversation about Nairobi. Do you have your prototype now? Because everyone is coming out with big names saying, I want to be the governor. But can they deliver? Thanks for tuning in. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.